Senator Tom Cotton of Nebraska said, and I quote, that slavery was a necessary evil.
What?
Which means, yeah, I know it's evil, but we had to do what we had to do.
Wow.
I said earlier on, as a joke, that I don't want to be called Obama, that I should be called Trump, only because we're in Middle Tennessee.
Okay.
You go by that name in Manchester, Winchester, Tullahoma, ain't nobody coming to your show.
When you look at the current president now, are you eager to say, oh, Femi Trump?
I struggle to do the Trump.
Okay.
If this was a president that I feel like stood for equality and stood for fairness and stood for justice and was such an upright and a man of integrity, I would be doing a whole lot more.
As of January 7, 2026, President Trump had signed 38 executive orders that are related to immigration, and nearly 17% of all executive orders signed during that period.
You know how they say that, the Supreme Court has, actually okayed it that they can profile you, they catch you on the street, they can profile you based on the way you look or the way you sound. So I figured I can't change the way I look. The days of Michael Jackson is over, but I've been working on my accent, DJ. So this way, when immigration calls me, just I'll pick up the phone with a different accent. Hello. Yeah, beneath these residents. I hate to tell you, Kunta Kinte don't live here no more.
In a typical African home, they will expect you to become either an engineer, a medical doctor, a lawyer. Anything outside of that, you're a failure.
Absolutely. Even my daughter says she wants to be a YouTuber. I said, God forbid. But now, I see the kind of money that YouTubers are making. I don't think that my parents are aware you could, get a deal with Amazon Prime like I do. They will always still feel like, even if Obama was to invite me and say, Obama says, okay, Femi, why don't you come perform at the breakfast dinner? And I said to my dad, I can't believe this. I'm performing for Obama. My dad was there, and you should have been his doctor instead. You would have been a better addition to the country if you were his doctor.
Yeah. You are welcome to The Voyage, where we talk about the trials, the transitions, and the triumph that people go through in life. And on the set of The Voyage today, I have Obama, Femi Obama. Well, he will tell us his real name, but he's popularly known as Femi Obama. He's not just a comedian, he's a father, he's a husband, but he's also into IT healthcare as well. And on the episode today is going to be fun. Get ready to laugh, I tell you that. But also get ready to be challenged, because he thinks out of the box and he's also not afraid to challenge the status quo. So, Obama Femi, you are welcome to the set of The Voyage. Let's get this done. It's been a long time.
I just want to say it's a big pleasure to be here. And a wonderful, beautiful set. I don't think I want to go by the name Obama anymore.
Really?
You shall call me, yes, from henceforth, Femi Trump. I think so. I think that has a very beautiful ring to it. What do you think?
Well, we will find out. We will find out. We will find out how that happens. When I Google your name, the first thing that came out is Obafemi. And I said, are you guys related? Are you related? I said, oh, maybe I've been relating with a different Femi all this while. Maybe is your brother or something.
I think so, but I need maybe just give me about maybe 10 more years in the gym before I will resemble this kind of... No, about Femi, I like him, man. He has a great story as well. But yes, now my brother.
Oh, well, definitely. We see each other, we recognize each other. Right? The way he pulls the crowd and the way people connect with him, he's not just an athlete, but he's also an entertainer.
Yeah. But I don't know how I feel about that. You Google my name and another guy comes up. What is...
Well, I think maybe there is a correlation to that.
I did my Google this morning and I saw myself. So that made me kind of happy.
So, Femi, before we deep dive into our conversation today, how did you find yourself in the US? It is people see the comedian, people see the person that makes them laugh, but people do not know how the whole story begins. So if you will take me back, to the story. How did you find yourself in the US? And also, if you can share briefly your fond memory of growing up, what does that look like? And also, what are some of the unique moments growing up that has come to shape who you are now?
Wow. Let me first of all say, Mr. DJ, like, you have an amazing gift. I feel like I'm on Oprah right now. I feel like I'm ready to open up my whole life. No, but my dad came here, when we were young.
Okay.
He came here to study in Georgia Tech. They call it the MIT of the South. So my dad, when people hear that my dad has 2 master's degrees in physics, they look at me and they're like, what happened? What happened with you? I'm like, hey, mind yourself. But no, so that's how we came here. So I enjoyed a little bit of my childhood here in America, and a whole lot of it in Nigeria as well. So I think one thing it does for you is it gives you the right perspective. Me and you, before the cameras started rolling, we were talking about like how America is such an enclosed system in terms of information.
Yeah.
Like even the cable, even if you want to sign up for cable, the only CNN you can get is the domestic CNN. You have to pay more for the international CNN.
Yeah.
Or and the international CNN, that's where the real education about the world is.
True.
So and then me and you probably grew up watching that international version of CNN. So we tend to know a little more about the world. So I enjoyed my childhood. I have amazing parents. They not only were they great at providing, but they were great at providing a very, very wholesome spiritual atmosphere. Thus, I enjoy wearing these kind of shirts that says Bible verses. So, I think my childhood was great. Cool. I would say maybe a little too protected.
I'd say.
But then again, each child has an opportunity to say, "Hey, no, I don't want to stay shackled." Like me and my brother, we go 2 different ways. So you're a product of your environment, but also you do have a little bit of control over that. You can say, "No, I want to break away."
Sure.
Or you can say, "Okay, I'll be the good kid. I'll stay within the mold." So it's kind of like how it was.
Nice. Talking about your immigration experience, your dad studying, having 2 masters in physics, and you are who you are now. But before we get into that, for immigrants, names are not small things. Names define who we are. A name can carry history, culture, humor, and also misunderstanding. And in fact, the struggle to pronounce your name correctly. When people hear Femi Obama, it sounds like there's a story before that joke. Earlier on, you did actually mimic our current president. But what happened? How did you come about Femi Obama? What prompted that?
Well, so my stage name is comedian Femi.
Okay.
So the Obama is just a thing where, when I started doing comedy, that was like one of my biggest acts, and it was properly timed because it was during the Obama presidency, when Obama would come out and say a thing like, thank you very much. Mr. DJ, it is a great pleasure to be here. And I want to say thank you. There is not a Black America or a white America, but the United States of America. So like I started, I started doing that.
Yeah.
And people liked it, blew up.
Yeah.
So when you get off stage and people don't remember your actual name, or even they don't care about your actual name, they're like, we don't care what you want to be called. We call you, oh, that Femi that does Obama. That Femi, that Obama guy.
Yeah.
So that's how I'm like, okay, I don't need you to, just as long as you can identify me and book me for shows and and gigs, call me whatever, just pay me, you know what I'm saying? So, but I don't mind being associated with such an amazing figure in an American Black history, or even world history in general. I said earlier on as a joke that I don't want to be called Obama, that I should be called Trump, only because we're in Middle Tennessee.
Okay.
You go by that name in Manchester, Winchester, Tullahoma, ain't nobody coming to your show. You might even get lynched. They have a town here in Tennessee called Lynchburg. So.
Yeah. Interesting. I mean, before we even dive into of course, you like the name Obama. There was something that was appealing to you to pick that name. And when you look at the current president now, are you eager to say, oh, Femi Trump? Something like that. I'm just curious, the way you were so eager to mimic Obama, and I'm sure you were trying to portray the value that he represents. When you think of the current president now and the choice of name, I'm curious, what value will you want to portray that he represents?
We are at a very, very interesting time now in American history. The fathers that came before us, in the civil rights movement, you're talking about your MLKs, you're talking about your Malcolm X's, and so on and so forth. Jesse Jackson, Reverend Al Sharpton. These guys have worked a whole lot to get civil rights and human rights in general, to get it to where it is today. And not only Black people benefit from it, but even other minority groups benefit from that. And, it's been a long journey. And where we are right now, it feels like there is a deliberate intention to peel back those rights. You have people openly saying that the Civil Rights Act of 64 was a mistake. You have people saying that allowing women on these are people, these are personalities, these are influencers, these are elected officials. Senator Tom Cotton of Nebraska said, and I quote, that slavery was a necessary evil.
What?
Which means, I know it's evil, but we had to do what we had to do. In other words, like if push comes to shove, and that's what we have to do, God bless it, we'll do it again.
Wow.
And this guy is elected. There's so many examples. This current administration is taking down the bust of Martin Luther King that was been sitting in the White House and Oval Office for years. They're bringing out monuments. They're trying to get rid of the birthright citizenship, which the Constitution clearly says if you're born on United States soil, you are an American citizen. So we're trying to push it back to where, if you're not the right nationality, or if you don't have the right origin, you do not, your children don't have the right to be called or to be regarded as an American. But that's not what the Constitution says. That is anti-Constitution. So to cut the long story short, without because this is a topic that I can. This stuff keeps me up at night.
Okay. We'll dive to it, definitely.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So I struggle to do the Trump.
Okay.
There's a whole lot of material that I can. Like if this was a president that I feel like stood for equality, and stood for fairness, and stood for justice and was such an upright and a man of integrity, I would be doing a whole lot more. But sometimes I just don't feel it, But as a comedian, it's kind of your job.
Yeah.
You just kind of like have to. The people want to hear it.
Yeah.
The people like it. It puts a smile on your face, and if anything at all, we need a little bit of joy, a little bit of laughter in this moment in American history.
Absolutely. Femi, every gift has a beginning, but every beginning also has a pressure. Before the stage, before you start making people to laugh, there was a man trying to find his voice, his place, his rhythm in a country that does not always understand immigrants deeply. So let's dive deep into how and when did you discover that you are funny? You can make people to laugh.
You said as an immigrant.
Just as a person, at what point did you discover that, wow, I've got a gift, I've got a voice, to make people laugh, to create laughter and things like that?
First of all, where's the immigrant? Do you have his eyes somewhere back here? Is this a setup? I'm American, man. I gotta let you understand that. Matter of fact, my name is not Femi. My name's actually Sam. So I don't go with all that African. No, I'm kidding. Well, to answer your question, you know what? The funny thing is that my siblings are way funnier than me.
Really?
Yeah. My older brother is a hoot, man. There is nothing that cannot come out of this man's mouth. My sister, she's also very good with, when you see me do voices, my sister is way better than me.
Wow.
But they decide to go the regular traditional route in career. My brother studied international business. My sister has a master's degree in microbiology. Are you seeing the trend here? It looks like I'm the only dumb person in my family.
Well, we'll find out.
No, but when you are born of African parents,
yep,
your only choice growing up was to be a medical doctor.
Exactly.
And I had good grades. I was doing well in school. So my dad just assumed. We never had that conversation. Mm-hmm. He just assumed, in his mind, what else will you do other than medicine if you are this brilliant?
Yeah.
But it takes a certain kind of guts to because my dad is actually a very, very, he's an incredible planner, type A. It was when I was 17, 16, he already had clothes. He bought clothes. I said, these are the clothes. I have not entered university yet.
Okay. He
said, these are the clothes I want you to be wearing during your residency.
Wow.
5 years later, I'm working at a residence inn. And not only is it disappointing, but how do you get the guts to walk up to your parent and say, in fact, I don't want to study medicine. As a matter of fact, I want to study performing art. The first art they will perform on your face is a slap.
Definitely.
I'm sending you to school in America and you want to study performing art. So yeah. But I've always, Dimeji, I never saw myself as a kid. I never saw myself behind a computer desk. You know how you kind of see your life without thinking about it.
Yeah.
You as I'm now, I'm already thinking about my retirement. I'm how will my retire? Unconsciously, But I have never seen myself do anything outside of under the spotlight. So I started out doing music as a teenager. And then, when I was growing up, I would see all these, I used to listen to a whole lot of Christian music, and every time you picked up a tape,
yeah,
I'm telling my age now, tape,
okay,
cassettes. Anytime you picked up a cassette or a CD, back then you would see recorded and mastered in Brentwood, Tennessee. This is before I knew what was Brentwood, Tennessee. You know what I'm saying? As a kid, I lived in Georgia, and then we moved back to Nigeria, and this whole time, who knows what is Brentwood now? But I will see, mastered and recorded in Brentwood, this and that in Nashville. But somehow, some way, God orchestrated my way to this wonderful city, Music City, USA. So I was music director for a couple of churches.
Oh, really?
Absolutely. And I joined Gospel Music Association. I would go to like a lot of the conferences, meet like the big wigs and stuff like that. But what they will always tell you in the music industry is hard, man. The record labels will tell you, we love your stuff, you are amazing, but our label works like a football team. If I have my starting 11 and they are working well, so if I have my Kirk Franklin, Yolanda Adams, Fred Hammond, we're not too interested in like experimenting, like the world, like the secular, like they do in the secular world.
Yeah.
There's always a new artist coming out, especially when it comes to pop, maybe not as much as hip hop, but pop, there's always like a new talent coming out. So, but as far as knowing that I was funny, I think so. We were hosting an anniversary in church.
Okay.
And they needed an MC. And so I MC'd. And by the time I was done, this is my first gig ever. Like the whole place was in an uproar. Like everybody stood up with a standing ovation. I'm like, let me know.
Is real.
Let me know. And I wasn't like that. I was humbled anyway.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, there's something here. But everything starts with a seed.
Definitely.
You don't wake up one day and say, I want to do comedy.
Yeah.
Like I've been observing, I've been liking. You first of all have to like it. You have to like the people that were doing it. I remember Michael Blackson. I can't say the things that Michael Blackson says here, especially wearing this shirt that says 2 Corinthians. 2 Corinthians. I can't say that when the shirt says 2 Corinthians, but we all know Michael Blackson, what he's about. But him being an African and just being so dominant in the comedy field in this country, and he's very talented. So I remember him being I was a huge fan, still a huge fan. But coming up, I always kind of like thought of Michael Blackson, like, you always, representation matters.
Yeah.
You see a guy that has a similar background as yours and is doing it, and like saying to yourself, why not?
True.
Yeah.
So, like you allude to earlier on, in a typical African home, they will expect you to become either an engineer, a medical doctor, a lawyer. Anything outside of that, you're a failure.
Absolutely.
So, when your parents begin to say that, wow, this guy is following the path of being a comedian, and what were they disappointed in you? What was their reaction to your gift?
Still disappointed. 50. No, I'm kidding. My dad, I think the last show that we did, my dad was there. But it's not, I have to understand from where they're coming from, right? In their day and age, like, even my daughter says she wants to be a YouTuber. I said, God forbid. But now I see the kind of money that YouTubers are making.
Yeah.
So there are job titles that don't exist, that didn't exist when we were growing up, that exist now, and people are making a killing. Definitely. So you can imagine job titles that exist when I'm coming up that never existed in our parents' day. So what do you mean you want to be a comedian? You want to be a clown? That's how they see it. I don't think that my parents are aware that you could get a deal with Amazon Prime like I do. They don't believe that you could get a deal with big networks. And even if you did, they don't still understand the value. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter how much money you make. Like they will always still feel like, even if Obama was to invite me and say, Obama says, okay, Femi, why don't you come perform at the breakfast dinner? And I said to my dad, Dad, I can't believe this. I'm performing for Obama. My dad was there, and you should have been his doctor instead. You would have been a better addition to the country if you were his doctor. Yeah. So that's where they come from. But what I had done was that I still have my education. I have a degree from Belmont University, which is has one of the best business programs in the South. Very, very expensive school too, by the way.
I know, right?
So, I went there. So I fulfilled what was meant to be fulfilled. And I have a degree in science as well. So, and I believe that all those experiences actually bring you, when I perform, I bring all those experiences with me. The no knowledge is wasted. In fact, the more you know, the better.
Exactly.
As a performer, the more you know, the better.
All right. We'll still dive deep into your gift as a comedian. Femi, right now in America now, immigration has become one of the most emotional conversations. In fact, as of January 7, 2026, President Trump had signed 38 executive orders that are related to immigration, and nearly 17% of all executive orders signed during that period. So immigrants, we are not just living life. We are constantly being discussed on the national TV every day. It is a public discussion. But I realize that there is a gap between what people understand as who an immigrant is, and even government as an entity. So as a comedian, you carry this dual nationality, this dual responsibility. How does it feel that when America talks so much about immigration, but not directly to immigrants, that immigrants are seen at times as numbers or as unwanted? How does it feel?
The thing I noticed is that, whatever America does, the world follows.
Exactly.
Which is, if America is doing a great thing, the world follows. America is doing a bad thing, the world follows. So you can see how this is like actually catching fire as well in Europe. They're like, anti-immigrant, very, right-wing, semi-violent protests going on in even in Europe as well, as bad as it is here. But I've decided that we just have to survive. I've decided now, how they say that, the Supreme Court has, actually okayed it that they can profile you. They catch you on the street. They can profile you based on the way you look or the way you sound. So I figured I can't change the way I look. The days of Michael Jackson is over, but I can. I've been working on my accent, DJ. So this way, when immigration calls me, just I'll pick up the phone with a different accent. Hello. Beneath these residents, I hate to tell you, Kunta Kinte don't live here no more. Yeah, just me, my wife, and our boy, Jimmy. That's all we got here. Well, if you need help finding that African boy, I'm fixing to join ICE to help y'all out. Yeehaw. Yeah. So, just jokes, man. But seriously, it is a tough time, man. It is a tough time. The thing that we were discussing earlier on is that America is an enclosed, I don't even want to say bubble, but it's like a dome of information. It's like a sphere of information that is, it is a dome. You're not exposed. Like if you want to know about other cultures, or if you want to know about even the stuff that is happening in other countries, look at the wars in Congo. We never hear about that stuff.
Yeah.
The wars in Sudan, we never hear about that stuff. The only wars that we care about is the wars that involved, Caucasians. Yeah. Ukraine war, Russia war, Israel war. Those are the only wars that, it seems like those are the things that they care enough to bring to our attention. So we don't know enough about other cultures. And by the way, it has been a deliberate effort to make Africa look a certain way. This is not a thing that started today, a year ago, 10 years ago. It has been happening for centuries. We've always been displayed as savage, been displayed as primitive. Okay, I'm not saying that there aren't members of our population that are not as sophisticated as others, because not everybody's going to have access to education.
Sure.
Not everybody's going to be exposed. But it's the same thing here. I live in the South. There are people here that are not different from the market women that I left behind in Kwara State. In terms of exposure, in terms of intelligence, in terms of even language. Like, bro, it's your language. You're supposed to be able to speak your language grammatically correctly. Why is my English better than your own? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, like, they've been trying to make it seem as if Africa is this just this overly impoverished, uneducated savages. So people don't look at you as equals. People don't look at you as a comrade. You know, they look at you as just something just a little bit. We're not saying you're animals, even though some will. But we're not saying you're animals, but you just don't matter. You know, you maybe just a few rungs beneath the evolution ladder. Like, we don't see you. I don't see myself in you. You're like that.
Beneath me.
Yeah. That's what I'm trying not to say, but thank you for helping me to say it. Because just pretty much that's what it is. So, you know, even in medicine, they'll say things, even up till now. They're still teaching medical students that, you know, Black people have a higher pain tolerance than I'm not going to say too much because I work in that field, but it is not hidden that, like, if you go to the hospital as a white person, they'll give you pain meds before you can get the pain med as a Black person. Hey. Wow. You know, just because there's just so much that has been taught. That's the only way that they could justify slavery. Because, you know, women are amazing in every race, you know. I was reading where it was like the women spoke to their conscience when it came to, like, whether to continue slavery or not. But they knew very well that they had to hide all the things they were doing in Africa from the population and much of their women. Don't get me wrong, women too, a lot of them are very pro-slavery and pro-colonialism. But the amount of brutality, the amount of atrocities that was going on in Africa was justified by saying they're just savages, you know. So back to your original question, it's hard for them to sympathize with you because they don't see you as them.
Wow, that is a big one. It is hard for them to sympathize with you because they don't see you as one. So if there is one misconception that Americans have about immigrants generally, what is one misconception that you will...
They're eating the ducks, they're eating the cats. They're eating your pets.
That is hilarious and painful.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if...
But is there a justification for this perception? Because at times I like to put myself in the shoe of the other person.
Me too. I like to play devil's advocate.
Exactly.
And all your life, if this is what you've been hearing, this is what gets, mentioned in your family growing up, I will be honest here, since we're here and you are giving me this Oprah vibe. So I feel the need to open up to you. I'm from Kwara State, and Kwara State in Nigeria is one of the most maybe diverse. People don't even think of Kwara State as a Yoruba state, but it is partially. You have Nupes that are indigenous to Kwara. You have Barubas that are indigenous to Kwara. What's the other one? Igbiras used to be before it was. I'm telling my age. Igbiras used to be before they cut away to Kogi. So when you're watching the news every night, it was every news, they will say it in Yoruba, but they'll say it in Nupe. You know, you hear the same news 4 to 5 different times in different languages. But my point is, go straight to my point, is that we used to look down upon some of those guys because, you know how Yorubas are with education.
Yeah.
You know, were you typically more educated? You know, the other tribes, yeah, you'll find educated members, but majorly, you know, you have like the Northerners, they're your shoemakers,
Yeah.
they're your cattle rearers, they're your security guards. Megad, not security guard, Megad. Security guard will wear uniform now.
Still upgrade.
But then security guard, I remember growing up, his name was Baba Morocco. He's not from Morocco. They just call him Baba Morocco. He nearly shot us with an arrow. This guy was not using gun, he's using arrow. But anyways, so we looked down upon them. Because if you needed a house help, your house help was coming from that community.
Yeah.
If you needed a house, even if they were Yoruba, it was coming from a less economically educational, people that weren't so exposed to education was coming from that community. So you tend to look at them. In fact, there's a joke growing up. It's a bad joke. I probably shouldn't say this online, but they said there's an accident. And they say, how many people died? Nobody died except for 5 Egbera people.
Yeah.
You know? So I look back upon that now, I'm like, that's racist.
Yeah.
So if you grew up that way for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, and you grow up and all you see is you watch Fox News and you're having this information reinforce the information that molded you growing up, you tend to remain that way. Now, could it be that you grow up and you say, wait a minute, I don't think all that stuff that was fed growing up, I don't think it's right. There are some people who are waking up to that.
Yeah.
But the more discussion I have with people in that community, in their community, I think they feel the guilt, but they don't want to carry the guilt. But I try to tell people, what was done 100 years ago, 200 years ago, you weren't even born.
Yeah.
We're not holding you responsible for it. We're not saying that you did it. It was done, and we need to acknowledge it.
Yeah.
Because if we don't acknowledge the past will repeat itself.
Exactly.
So people feel they put up a wall. The moment you mention slavery, they say something like black fatigue. You know, the moment you bring it up, they feel like, no, it's not against you. You were not here then. However, if you're like Senator Tom Cotton, who's in his early 40s, maybe, our same generation, and, you know, and you're peddling stuff like that. Well, that tells me that no lesson has been learned. Or peradventure, you're standing on 10 toes and saying, this is what America being great is all about. It's all about white supremacy. You know, that's what made us great, and that's what will continue to make us great. And if we bring these people in from the Middle East, they hate us. And speaking of the Middle East, maybe 0.01% are terrorists of the entire Middle East population. And people just, like, think about all the Middle Easterners that live here alone in Middle Tennessee. I have not heard one bomb go off. I've been here for 25 years. Not one bomb has ever gone off. I've never heard of one attempt.
This is the misconception and the bias.
The moment you wear that hijab, they are thinking you're carrying a bomb inside. You know, which is like, you know, if you're an American.
But is the fear not justified because of previous experiences and things like that?
This is where education counts. So you have 9/11, which is a big tragedy.
Yeah.
You've had a couple of incidences where it wasn't an actual bomb, but bomb threats. But we have to go by data.
True.
We cannot just demonize, let's say, a population of 50 million people because of what 10 people did. We can't do that because, like, I remember when I was in college, like, and this was the early 2000s. I tell my age every time. It was the early 2000s, and 9/11 were just maybe like just 3 years away from haven't happened, and the kids, there's a party on college campus, and and I realized that as an immigrant, just because a white person says something doesn't mean you can carry your big head and go and say the same thing. So they all went out and promoted a party with the same line. When in sales, you guys have a script. So the white kid gets there, dude, that party, it's gonna be the bomb. There's gonna be a rap battle. We're gonna have a blast. African American kid got there, hey man, that party, dude, gonna be the bomb. It's gonna be a rap battle. We gonna have a blast. My friend Ahmed, exchange student from Iraq, went out, said the same thing, but people heard something entirely different. My friend, as a party, there will be a bomb. There is going to be a rap jihad, and afterwards, there will be a blast. It's what people heard. You have that. Once you have that look, it's crazy, man. Like, so this happened at my job.
Okay.
One market no they go road, one no they lead for road, or one road no they lead for market. Like a patient granted the patient is drunk, but told this Asian guy, "Are you legal here?" Like, this is a patient that you're trying to help. You're trying to, he's come into the emergency room. You're trying to help him. You're trying to help him get back to wellness. You don't know what he has before he came in. Like, emergency room is very risky. You don't know what people have before they come in. And he's asking him, "Are you legal?" And the whole nursing station burst into laughter.
Wow.
And I'm like, this is your comrade. This is your guy. Y'all work with this guy. This is the moment somebody need to walk up to that drunk patient and say, "Hey, buddy, that's not right. You can't say that." If he had tapped a woman in the behind, somebody would have walked up to him and said, "Buddy, you can't do that." But when it came to the immigrant, everybody just laughed. They thought it was funny.
So, Femi, from your own personal experience that you've been in the US for so many years now, in what ways, and can you describe if you have experienced any form of bias or any form of discrimination, either as a comedian or as a corporate guy working here in the US?
Yeah, a coworker told me I didn't belong here.
Really?
Yeah, this happened like a few months ago. It's like,
because of what?
Well, I mean, I was doing the thing you're not supposed to do at work, but something happened and we got into the political arena. And she said to my face, she said, "You're lucky to be here." I'm like, well, you won the genetic lottery as well to be born white in America. You didn't decide your parents. Nobody decides how they come to the world, through whom they come to the world. You weren't sitting in heaven and you had to pass an exam. You didn't merit being an American. You didn't merit it. You inherited it. It was a genetic lottery.
Wow. So, I mean, I can't wrap my head around such kind of an occurrence when somebody would directly, face to face, not even online now. It is easy for people to hide behind their laptop and say all kinds of things, but directly.
A client came, this was years ago anyway. And the good thing is that I wasn't, when you're younger, you feel some pain, but you can't articulate it. Yeah. You're like, I don't understand how I feel, why I feel. But luckily, I just didn't really think anything of it. He just came to the counter and it was... So does that remind you of home? And And I mean, well, he's not wrong. We do have those kind of beats, but like he was like his intent.
Yeah.
His intention behind it was to clown me. So yeah, I mean, this is the South, man. It happens, and it's gonna continue. This is why you won't see me performing a whole lot of Nashville venues, because this is a very, very, and I've had that conversation with so many other comedians that are from here, but have an international background. Like if I'm telling jokes about my international background, they're not gonna get it. Like this, just like we were saying, they live in an enclosed environment. They don't know anything else about the world. People are just finding out. People are like, oh my God, I like soccer. Like, bro, I like this World Cup. I'm like, I'm happy you like it. But like, if it was never brought to American soil, if the World Cup was not like on TV, if it was not causing traffic, many people would not even know that it was happening.
Sure.
And this is the biggest sporting event. This is the only sporting event that brings a whole world together. To be a world champion in America, Red Sox just has to beat Knicks or Mets, and you have become the world champion. Boston beating New York to become the world champion. But what is happening in the rest of the world to be an actual world champion, for you to have to beat several teams from several continents to be actually crowned a world champion, people are not aware of that. So just they don't know it, and I think it's deliberate, because if it was not the case, like we're playing devil's advocate again, because there are a lot of people who support Donald Trump are like spirit-filled.
True.
Very good people. They donate, they give to the poor. There's a guy at my job, like he'll, like when it's time for there was a time that it was time for recertification, and he basically gave me, I shouldn't say, the man no go collect my license. Anyways, he showed me a shortcut. No, collect my license. He showed me a shortcut. So like, and then I heard like, one of the students, he was telling me how great he is. And this is a black student, by the way, and how great this white guy is, and, in mentoring her. So this is a good guy, but he's a Trump supporter. I was watching a documentary where a guy was a contractor, and his best friend is a Mexican who works for him. And he knows very well that under a Trump administration, his best friend, who is also his best worker, will get deported.
Okay.
And he still voted for Trump. So I think it just goes back to information, availability of information, you not understanding that people, whatever makes a pregnant woman walk across the border in the heat of Mexico and Arizona and Texas, whatever makes her walk through that desert, even if she wants to come and have the baby here, and I'm not saying that that's the case, as they're trying to make it look in the media like, if I can just get here and have my baby here, I'll have all the benefits. Even if the baby has the benefits, she can't have the benefits. Maybe the only benefit she'll have is the fact that she was able to have the baby. But people don't understand, whatever is chase. If I'm running into your house and you said I can't come into your house, but I'm running, DJ, let me in, DJ, let me in, DJ, let me in. No, you can't come in. But if you see a lion, it's like a 700-pound lion that was chasing me, does humanity sympathy not say to you, open the door? So I don't know if people are not thinking deep about it, because under no circumstances will a pregnant woman, or even unpregnant people. So there's something happening in their country that is so unbearable that they risk everything to get here.
Well, we can talk all day long about all of the immigration challenges and experience of immigrants here in the US. One thing that I discovered recently, and it is the education gap that you referred to earlier on. For the very first time, I went to Alabama and I went to the museum one of the slavery museum
Okay.
in Alabama. That was a life-changing experience. In fact, I was there with my wife. By the time we were getting out, guess what? Tears were rolling down.
Wow.
Tears. I couldn't even, my kids were there too. It was very emotional. When you saw what people experience, human being to human being, the level of wickedness, the level of greed. And for me, I wonder how many people will take the time to go and visit such a museum.
Nobody.
So that they can appreciate the history, so that will help them to broaden their perspectives. For me, I don't think it is just about the skin color. I think it's about human heart.
Preach.
Because I was at Rwanda last year, and I went to one of the monuments that were built, for all of the millions of people that were killed during the Rwanda crisis.
Yeah.
And it is just wickedness and greed. And so my challenge to anyone out there is to take the time to educate themselves. Step outside of your comfort zone.
That's right.
And learn and listen before you even defend your own position. And that will make a big difference. Let's talk about comedy. I know maybe another day we can set up a time and just talk about all of this immigration thing. I know
Let me say one more
Sure.
thing. And to just add to what you just said, that advice that you just gave the audience is very, very important because America's survival depends on America's unity. And America's unity is not going to happen unless we are able to empathize with each other. Like, we're very broken right now. We're very divided. And if you study empires, if America is an empire, make no mistake about it.
Yeah.
The countries are not sovereign. You don't get to go pluck the president of Venezuela out of his bedroom with his wife, whether they were even having intimacy at the time. You don't get to do that if you're not an empire.
Yeah.
Make no mistake about it. America is an empire. And empires, when you study them, the Roman Empire, the Assyrian Empire, the Persian Empire, the Babylonian Empire, Ottoman Empire, they tend to fall.
Yeah.
Not from outside, not because somebody waged war against them from outside. The Roman Empire was split before the Roman Empire was even invaded. They were split for a couple of 100 years. And I worry that we are at that point because we're celebrating America's 250. Now, America has not been an empire this whole time of 250, but at least for about 150 years, America has been an empire. And that your advice that you gave is important for the white community, is important for some people in the black community, because they don't teach these things in school.
True.
You have to grow up and say, I want more.
Yeah.
And I do understand too that we have to empathize with them as well, because not every white person descends from a slaver.
True.
The fact is that the slavery was a business of the elites. You had to have money. Kind of like you drive this beautiful Mercedes. Not everybody can afford that Mercedes. Some of us are driving Kias and Hyundais. You know what I'm saying? So it was a business of the elites.
Yeah.
You had to be able to afford one, even though. Anyways, cut the long story short. So not everybody. In fact, I want to believe that the majority of white people do not descend from people who own slaves. So, but we also have to understand where they're coming from. Maybe possibly some will claim that they don't enjoy white privilege as much as they do, but it is there. But we're not saying that you don't have your personal challenges. You don't get to walk to the bank and say, I'm white, give me. Okay, maybe you can. You say, I'm white, give me a loan. But you don't get to go withdraw money. You don't get to go there and say, I'm white, withdraw money that I never put in here. So we just have to hear each other out as a country.
Exactly. Now, Femi, when you get up on a stage, you pick up a mic. The audience are eager, they are expected to laugh. And there is healing that comes from laughter. And I wonder, is it temporary or is it lasting? Does laughter actually cure the deep need or the hurt that people are going through? So for you as a comedian, what is your goal? What do you want to leave behind when you are no longer on the stage in the heart of people?
Relief,
Relief.
camaraderie, feel seen, feel like a community. You go to work Monday to Friday, and you have to speak this fake English. Hi, how are you? Welcome to T-Mobile. Can I help you today? But when you come to my shows, you know, you can you don't have to talk in your fake accent. You can talk like this. You speak pidgin, speak pidgin, feel seen, hang out with fellow people who came to see the show. So it's a time of relaxation. Endorphins, the release of endorphins is very, very important to your health. Awesome. Endorphins and dopamine, mental wellness, I'm not saying, they say laughter is a medicine. My father wanted to be a doctor. I'm now providing medicine in the form of laughter. So, Papa, I guess I made it after all.
At last. You make Daddy laugh. Talking about making people laugh, for me, I know that making an audience laugh is a hard job. When between making Africans and American laugh at the same time, I think it's almost like preaching in two languages. And so for me, which one is much more harder, to make Africans laugh or to make Americans laugh, or making both groups laugh, without losing each other? How do you, find yourself between these two worlds?
Very well. I'm actually very good at this. Most of the events that I get booked for are events. I like how I just cross my leg now. You can't do a podcast without crossing your leg. That's the hallmark of a proper podcast. Anyways, his blood flow, his age, blood stopped flowing. Yeah, just let me. Anyway, so no, most people will hire me for an event where they realize that there'll be Africans and there'll be Americans.
Okay.
I feel like my background, having partially grown up here, I went to college here. So I understand both cultures fairly enough to where I can bridge a gap. A lot of folks are very funny. A lot of Nigerian comedians are very funny. But if you don't, you can only give what you have.
True.
You know what I'm saying? Like if you have a lot of guys that are funny. They only tell jokes in pidgin, and it's funny. You know what I'm saying? If somebody tell you a Warri joke, and you are from Warri, or from anywhere from Nigeria, you will laugh tired.
Definitely.
But you put that in front of a person who's never been to Warri before, has no reference. The word is reference.
Yeah.
They don't understand your reference. So I cater my material to an international audience. Now, don't get me wrong. Again, I wouldn't, even the stuff that I would take to a mixed audience of white people, it has to be a certain kind of white people who are exposed. I can't take the same stuff to Tullahoma.
Yeah.
Homewall, Tennessee. Winchester, Manchester, Lynchburg, So I love communicating to different audiences, but like we say, there's just that lack of information that exists. But then again, we all have different backgrounds, They might say some things that I'm like, what was that? And I've been in America for 24 years. I go to my barber shop sometimes because they're from Jackson. They're from Jackson, Tennessee. All I hear, hell yeah is the only thing I heard. So all come from different backgrounds. So to answer your question, and to anybody who is thinking about comedy, relatability is the biggest, most important component of a joke. That joke can be so funny, but if I don't find it relatable, it doesn't hit me. I may not even understand it. I would watch Saturday Night Live sometimes. The first skit, usually the political ones, I think we're all experiencing that. And they always open with a political skit. It doesn't matter if you're black or white, where you grow up in the country or in the city. You grew up in Africa or you grew up in Europe, or this is something that we all understand what's going on. We all know who's in power. We all know the cost of gas. You know what I'm saying? But some of the other skits will miss rather. But I just try to stay with topics such as relationship. If you stay with relationship, everybody's performing ministry in the bedroom. It doesn't matter. We all have that in common.
So when you talk about, for people to have a reference point to your comedy material, has there ever been a time where you throw a joke and it did not land and it was dead silence? And how did you get yourself out of that?
Of course. That's what makes you a comedian. Mm-hmm. I have some doctor friends that will say that if you've never been sued for medical malpractice, you ain't a surgeon yet. Or we were here, we watch football, soccer. You watch football, and managers will say if they haven't sacked you yet, you're not a manager. They must sack you. It's part of the game. You know what I'm saying? So, it's happened. But what I tend to do is be cautious. I like to take little risks. Mm. There's some jokes that I thought to myself, like, damn, this is funny. You take it out there, people are like, chirp, 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 chirp. I'm like, it sounded funny in my head, though. So, I test my jokes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like quality assurance. For me, and there's some people who are gifted. Our gifts are different, Sure. Like the first thing I do, if I have a joke idea, sometimes I'll ask my wife to listen to it, or I'll ask my brother, I'll send it to my brother, and if they think it's okay, then, I'm like, okay, maybe I should give it a try. Mm. But it's like quality assurance before you put out a product. In fact, 2 out of 20 jokes that I write make it on stage.
Mm-hmm. 2 out of 20?
Yes.
Wow.
Because I listen to it again, I'm like, oh, man, when I was having that inspiration, it sounded a whole lot better. I don't want to risk that. It's not like maybe it's not good,
okay,
but I don't want to risk it.
Okay.
You need 3 bad shows for people to start saying, oh, the guy's not funny, Joe. This is the job that you receive your report card right there and then.
Right there.
Right there and then. There's no going back. And a joke, is like, you're telling a joke. I was hearing Kenan Ivory Wyan say this. Like when he first started doing comedy, that he will do comedy anywhere that they give him a mic. Whether people want to listen or they don't want to listen, he will do it, in front of a gym, a busy restaurant. And it's like the worst thing that can happen is like you're setting up this joke, setting it up, and you get to your punchline. Right before you deliver your punchline, the waiter trips and breaks all the glass and all the plates that is in her hand. Now, you can't go back. You can't continue your joke there because, first of all, nobody's listening. Yeah. Second of all, it's a big distraction.
True.
Third of all, you look insensitive. You're like, somebody almost broke their teeth, but I'm going to finish this joke. So, first, I mentioned relatability, and just you have to make sure that you take little risks because you have this scenario I just painted that Kenan Ivory Wyan talked about. If you have that happen to you enough times, people won't understand. No, something that was going on in the environment caused him to not, be able to deliver that joke properly.
Yeah, I'd say.
Consumers don't care. You know what I'm saying? When I go and buy milk at Kroger, I'm not caring who pasteurized it, who pumped the cow's breast milk to pump the cow's breast to bring it out. I'm not caring who delivered it. I just want a product.
Yeah.
So is in the same way. The audience doesn't care about your process, but there is a process.
I'd say so. So it is not, comedy is not a science, but it is an art, right? And the process of, it appears just listening to you now that yeah, people are not interested in your process. They just want the finished product.
Exactly.
And for you, what I've observed is that even in your finished product, there is a value and a principle that is attached to it. Like you said now, 2 out of 20 of your material gets delivered in the public. It appears that beyond making people laugh, there is still a value and a principle that you want to impart, that you do not want to compromise, and a line that you don't want to cross. Because I've heard you say things like, oh, Jesus is my Lord and my Savior. And I said, is this a comedy or is this real? So, Femi, what is the line there that you don't want to cross? Because I've also seen in one of your show where you, I think you were making a joke about couples and things like that. And it was as if, I said, is this guy a pastor? It's like you are trying to, of course, encourage intimacy in the bedroom and things like that. But then it seems you still don't want to cross a boundary. Why all of that? Tell me.
It's a good question. I had a dream.
Okay.
And in that dream, because it's a thing that's been, because let's be honest, sex jokes are funny. They're funny. Not only are they funny, they cut across every culture in the world. Everybody is knocking. Even if you're a pastor, you go to church, people don't like all these intimacy jokes, but you go to the children's church. The children's church is more than the adult church. What have you guys been doing? Is this a immaculate conception? So everybody's doing it, but nobody wants to
talk about it.
And there are some places that you tell those jokes, or some people you tell those jokes, because you've been to my shows. There's at least 5 pastors sitting in front. And if I'm a pastor and I'm leading a church of 1,500 people, even if it's funny to me, maybe I'll keep that laughter till I get into the car. I don't want my audience see me laughing at such things. So back to the dream I had. I had a dream, and in my dream, I was going for a job interview. And I got to the buildings, like one of those buildings, kind of like the ones we have behind us here that have different floors. And I kept on going from, like, let's just say maybe the 4th floor to the 8th floor, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, until I was almost late for that interview. So the Spirit of God dropped it in my mind, in my heart, that this is the interpretation of this dream. You have to make up your mind. Do you want to be a pastor, or you want to be a comedian?
Really? Wow.
But because there are some lines you cannot cross as a pastor. But there's a line that you have to get to get to that next level of comedy. So when you hear me say those jokes about how, my wife is a nurse and I'm a radiology tech, and my wife is putting in the catheter of the patient. I was asked to come and see the patient as well. And we're working in the same hospital at this point in time. As my wife is putting in the catheter, the patient gains an erection, and I'm like, my wife is she's doing too much of a good job. She doesn't do this kind of job for me at home. You know what I'm saying? So I just recently gained the boldness to say those kind of jokes. And guess what, though? I'm a married man. I have the license to operate. I have the right to have sex. The Bible teaches us no sex outside of marriage. I'm a married man. So if I can do it, why can't I talk about it? And I know that my audience too, everybody, they do, nobody is Virgin Mary here. Let's not lie to ourselves. We are lying to ourselves. So, but then again, I still want to keep it proper. It's not a thing where, like I mentioned Michael Blackson earlier on, there's some language that I don't feel at liberty to utilize.
Okay.
Will they make my joke funnier? Yes. But I believe that if you are gifted, you don't really have to go there.
So if you're gifted, you don't have to be vulgar as a comedian.
I don't think so. A clear example is Kevin Hart's the roast of Kevin Hart on Netflix. I don't know if you're a very, very well versed person, so I know you've seen it. You know, things were said, jokes about a guy that, first of all, when you joke about George Floyd is not on the dais. He's not any of the people you came to roast. You know, that's not what I'm saying. It's like when another component of comedy is that, you know, I mentioned relatability, relevance also. Like, how is it relevant to that day? You know, that's what I'm saying. So they thought that because in order to be funny, that they needed to be vulgar, or whoever said that, Tony Hinchcliffe. But I feel like for the majority of the Black community, that not only was it cruel, it was also not funny.
Very insensitive.
Yeah, very insensitive, but there's also no artistic effort put in behind that. You didn't even try, you know? So, and speaking of I spoke of risk earlier on, you know, there are some people who traffic in dark humor.
Yeah.
And luckily for them, there's a audience out there.
True.
That enjoys that. So another thing is, you must know your audience. Relatability, relevance, the relevant topics, and you got to know your audience. My audience, like I said, is mostly, you know, if there's 5 pastors sitting in front, you know that their members are sitting in the back.
Yeah. So talking about knowing your audience, and I've seen cases where people will invite comedian to their church, and there is this debate out there that people are turning the altar, in quotes, to a comedy, and they are calling what is sacred, they are making it not sacred. Are they crossing a boundary there, you as a comedian and also a man of faith? What is your take on having comedian in the church?
I think that for the body of Christ, moments matter. Or what I've studied about the body of Christ is that there are moments. You know, let me take it back to, you know, I'm sure you've heard the terminology SU.
Yeah.
You know, this stands for scriptural union, but like it's usually used in a derogatory manner towards, you know, people who come to preach to you. Their clothes are tattered, their trousers are high like Michael Jackson. You know, the suit is not a suit; it's a coat. The coat is wearing them. They're not wearing the coat. You know, and you identify that with poverty. And then somewhere in the 80s, you had people like Bishop Oyedepo rise, and they preached prosperity. And from the 80s to kind of like the 2000s, it kind of like aesthetically make Christianity look more glamorous. It wasn't so glamorous in the 70s because the evangelist had only one coat. But now the evangelist has 2, 3 private jets, 4, 5, 6, 7 Rolls Royces. So, but I also believe that in the body of Christ, we've come to a point whereby people are sick of that prosperity.
True.
So that era has done its job, and it's over. It was a moment, and that the people have this animosity towards mega churches now, for, you know, right reasons or understandable reasons. So I feel like there was a moment in time where the church needed comedy.
Okay.
I would say it was somewhere in the 2010s. You know, it was a trend. You know, churches would bring clean comedians, Christian comedians to church. I do feel like that era is fading, or maybe has possibly faded. I can't remember the name of that preacher, but a guy, just the exact words, almost the exact words that you used, was a video that went viral. They said, why are they bringing comedians to the altar? And I think somewhere along that, I started seeing my church bookings started decreasing. And that was like across the board. I would ask my friends, very few, in fact, to be honest with you, church is my favorite gig.
Wow.
I'm telling you, because I'm from there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't go to a club and do a joke about a pastor. They don't know pastors. And even if they do, they don't see them the same way we see them, you know?
Yeah.
If I tell a joke about a pastor in a church, like, we're families, like me joking with my dad among my siblings, you know? But if you go out there, it'll be as if you are joining them to condemn the church. And again, relatability, they don't really find it relatable.
I'd say.
So I feel like there's nothing wrong with bringing a comedian to church. I do believe that you want to make sure it's a properly vetted one, one that is not going to come to the altar and say things they're not supposed to say. That you don't want to, even with inviting ministers, even forget comedians, the minister that you invite to come and minister on your pulpit, you don't want him to say things that is going to confuse your sheep.
Definitely.
So do I still get church gigs? Yes, but just not as much as before. But I do believe that possibly that moment has performed its function in the body of Christ. And it's not so common anymore.
All right. Well, yeah, even though, like you said, your gigs in church may be decreasing, but your gigs in other outlets are also increasing, because Femi the comedian is not just a public figure, I would say is an international comedian. And with that also come certain prestige. With that also comes what they will call, how do my people call it now? Money kudiowo.
MKO.
Money kudiowo must have come. So let's talk about how lucrative comedy is. Since you have decided not to become a medical doctor or a lawyer or an engineer, so how lucrative is comedy? If there is somebody out there that is thinking of becoming a comedian as their main gig, for you as a person and also in the industry as a whole, how lucrative is the business of comedy?
I didn't go into it for lucrativity.
Really?
Let me quote Snoop Dogg while wearing a Bible shirt, by the way. Snoop Dogg said, it's not for the money, but for the love of the game.
Not for the money, but for the love of the game.
But for the love of the game. Now, you hear motivational speakers say a thing like, if you follow your passion, you'll never work a day in your life. Let me add to that and say that in the beginning will be rough. I've taken $100 to do job before, but I needed to get my name out there. And what is $100? I've done events for free.
For free.
In the early days, I would drive to Atlanta when I couldn't afford a hotel, and the money they're paying me could not pay for my hotel. I would go to Atlanta. I have my suits already hung in the back of the car. When it's time for the event, I walk into a McDonald's, change into the suit, go to the event. Once that event is over, I change back into my shorts and flip-flops because I prefer to, drive light. I'll come back that same day.
Wow.
And I did this a few times, Me and DJ Pryor used to do this. You've had DJ Pryor on this show. We used to go to Atlanta, come back the same day, You have to stick with it. If you don't love it, there's so many people that came behind me as a Nigerian American comedian in America that have gone into other things, because if you're in it for the money, you won't last.
Wow.
If you're in it for the money, the first few years you're like, Come on. Even your wife is telling you, guy, what is this? You know what I'm saying? Your parents are like, is this what you want to do with your life? So you too, you look for something else. But like, with the thing with dreams is that you have to be stubborn.
Wow. You have to be stubborn with your dream.
You have to be stubborn. You can't let what people say deter you. People, even though I had my first gig in church and it was explosive, it was really good. Afterwards, while I was learning the game, there's still a few times when you won't do as well, and people will tell me you're not funny, and but I mean. I'm not funny, but I stay booked for the past 15 years. How's that? How does that happen, So your profit will come if you stick to it. 98% of the people that hire me across this country in this hemisphere, I've never met before.
Wow.
I've never met them. They put in, to book me, you have to put in a deposit. They don't even know if I'm going to run away with the money. You know what I'm saying? And it's just that reputation. You've done it. I thought about it one time. I'm like, these people, they've never seen me before. They just send big money. And I'm like, yeah, of course you can take me to court, but I don't think anybody wants to have to go through that. But what I'm saying is that the reputation.
Exactly.
It takes a while to build that reputation. Yeah. So back to your question. What was your question? I talked too much.
Maybe that's part of being a comedian.
Yeah, I lost track of what the original question was.
Well, I was just trying to talk about how lucrative the business of comedy is, and I think you've made the point that you're not doing it for the money, and you just have to stick with it.
There's money there.
Oh, really?
But what I'm trying to say is that if you think that you're going to be making the big money within 6 months of declaring yourself as a comedian, within a year of declaring yourself as a comedian, then you're not then you don't love it that much. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the money will come. Like I said, I've constantly stayed booked for the past 15 years. Wow. There used to be a time where I used to try to finesse comedy clubs or event planners. I just got tired of doing that, and then I don't need to do it. They come looking for you. Another thing is that your work speaks for itself. Most of my work is from word of mouth. Like all the jobs I've done this year has been from one client.
Wow.
Oh, did you remember? Oh, I saw you at such and such in Atlanta. Oh, and then I saw you at such and such. I remember interacting with them. But I interact with a lot of people. Sure. So, because they might come to you after the event and say, "Wow, you did really well. Can we get your business card?" So I think what speaks for you the most is the quality of your work.
The quality of your work speak for you. I'm talking about the quality of your work. I guess some people may not even know that you have actually starred in a movie before, right?
Correct.
And that you have a show on Amazon Prime Video, and so it shows that the quality of your works travels far and wide. And so, what is next? What are you cooking up for the people in Nashville?
Well, partly in thanks to you, we have the Boxing Day comedy show that is become a yearly thing. So we're definitely looking forward to that this year again. So if you used to live in Nashville, you're coming back to see family, put December 26th on your calendar. We're coming big. We're coming better.
Awesome. Now, we live in a time where everybody is told to chase visibility. Everybody is chasing people want to go viral.
Yeah.
Build your brand, get seen, blow your trumpet. Nobody will blow it for you. But visibility without value can become noise.
Absolutely.
So as a comedian and as a creator, how do you balance the pressure to be visible with the deeper responsibility to actually add a value? How do you balance that?
Wow. That's a really, 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 really important question. I have to say this in Yoruba because I can't translate it. You can have followers, but Yoruba says that were dun wo loja, ko se bi lomo.
Wow. True.
Like, if you do the craziest thing on social media, you will get followers. However, I have a wife. I have kids. So every time, whenever I was going to do a skit about Trump and Nicki Minaj, that time that, him and Nicki Minaj were having a little bit of interaction there. And I dressed up as Nicki Minaj. I make a very beautiful woman. And, I tell you, before I put something out, I always kind of share it with my brother. My brother is he's my younger brother, so he looks up to me. He's like, I don't know if I want to see you in that light. So, a lot of comedians are doing this thing where they dress up as a woman, and I have high regard for it, and it's very effective. A guy acting like a woman, and especially when you do it really well, that's an art. That's a really, really, important gift. So I have to think that, okay, is it worth it?
Wow.
Is it worth it? I have children who are old enough to know they don't want to see their daddy doing all of this stuff right here. But it's up to you. I have nothing against the people that do put that on the line, for visibility. Like you said, visibility is cash.
Yeah.
Obviously there are some people who have millions of followers but don't have any money. It's also possible.
True.
In fact, it's very common. But your hope is that these followers are eventually going to translate into dollars. So yeah, I have to, it's just a thing. I believe that I don't have to be to go entirely crazy. I'm confident in my gift, that I can make people laugh without ridiculing my family too much.
So talking about family, I know that as African families, our daily life is full of comedy, from the facial expression from your parents, to the way they discipline you. Or you even want to talk about the dramatic phone calls. Recently, I saw somebody trying to reference how Africans pray. It's like our lifestyle is full of comedy. And I'm curious, because I've seen you, reference either your wife or your parents in your comedy. Do you ever get pushback from using them as a reference point or as comedy materials?
Yeah, my dad didn't like it at first. But no, my wife is very supportive of that. Like the jokes that I do that involve her. And just to clear the truth, I will tell you that my jokes have a bit of my experience, and obviously I'll have to add a bit of dramatic effect. So not everything that you hear in my joke is gospel truth. You understand? But I can some truth, but kind of garnished with a bit of creativity. Yeah, which is I don't want to say I'm lying. It's just creativity. It's not a lie. It's not a lie. It's creativity. Yeah. So yeah.
So talking about the fact that some of your jokes comes from your experiences, and for me, here is an emotional point and very painful as well, that I have seen comedians who go out there, make people laugh, but deep within, they are suffering in silence, and nobody knows about those experiences that they are going through internally that is hurting them. They make people laugh, but nobody can make them laugh. So for you as a comedian, how do you find healing while you are trying to heal other people with your own comedy?
That's a good point. And you're very right. Very, very high profile comedians have committed suicide. I mean, like very, very high profile, talented individuals that, you go to their show, there are people just laughing, rolling over, crying, just out of being so amused. But they have their internal demons. It's not unique to just comedians, but a lot of entertainers.
Yeah.
A lot of entertainers. You'll find out that comedians or entertainers are some of the most sensitive people. Like if you say one thing about them like this, like they get really sensitive about it. For me, it's a process. It's a journey. I'm not going to say that I am exempt from the scenario that you have just described. But it's a daily process. I think we go through stuff just like everybody else goes through stuff. And I know it kind of like seems paradoxical when, the person that's making you laugh, like you said, he himself is crying on the inside. Like how can a well produce water, but the well itself doesn't have water? But I say this, like I said, everybody have things going on in their lives.
Yeah.
We're all coping,
Is comedy part of your coping mechanism?
No, not at all. Not one bit. Not one bit. Comedy doesn't do anything for me emotionally. Whether my comedy or anybody else's comedy is a temporary laughter. Even if it give you laughter gas now, you will laugh. You know what I'm saying? Because I tickle you, it doesn't take away your depression. Depression is a insufficiency of certain chemicals in your brain. You can laugh right now. It's like a temporary. You can say, "Oh, I'm depressed. Let me go on vacation, Baba." You come back from that vacation, that depression is still waiting for you in your living room. As soon as you drop your luggage, in fact, the moment you leave the airport of your vacation of Cancun or Jamaica, you'll be like, "Damn, I'm going back home." But the Holy Spirit is a comforter. The Bible says. And I encourage everyone to spend some time with the Holy Spirit. The Bible calls him a comforter for a reason. It said, in this life you will have troubles. But know that I have overcome.
Amen. Preach it, Pastor.
Amen to that.
Maybe you will still see you back on the pulpit one day.
I need to do that side now. If the comedy money is drying off, then you diversify. No, I'm kidding. I know. I do feel like there's a connection there, and being a public speaker is a public speaker. Whether you are a comedian or you're a pastor or a podcaster or a motivational speaker, like Chris Rock's comedy, his eloquence comes from, I mean, I don't know how much of Chris Rock you've watched, but like Chris Rock is like in my top 3 of comedians. Like, not only is he funny, but like the things that he says are like the absolute truths of life, and the way he says them. His grandfather was a preacher, but also a cab driver. So his grandfather is either counseling people over the phone. He sits in the back of the cab, by the way. Chris Rock does, as a child. So he gets to listen to his grandfather all day, every day. And if you know one thing about African American preachers, so eloquent, so good with words. It's like their job requires a performative aspect, to get the word across. It's not for them to be clapped for. It's for you to get. That's why you're sitting in the church, in an African American church. You can't stand still, because this man is hitting it. You know what I'm saying? He's hitting you where, and everybody go, preach, preacher. Mm-hmm. You better preach on. Let him use you. Mm-hmm. Like, you see that, because this man is. His delivery is 10 over 10.
Yeah.
Animation is 10 over 10. It's all there. So Chris Rock listens to that, experiences that all day, and look at what he's become. Like one of the just amazing comedian, So yeah, back to the gentleman you were talking to. They all go hand in hand.
It's all right. So earlier on, you said that when you get on the stage, one of your goals is to make people to be seen, to make people have a sense of relief. There are people out there who wants to be seen. They want to be relieved of everything that is going on, either in their own individual family or in America as a whole, or in the world as a whole. The stage is yours, comedian Femi. Make people feel seen. Make people feel the relief.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure to be on this show, this amazing, beautiful set by this amazing producer, podcaster, just incredible brother that I have with me here. But like we say, or basically what this whole show we're kind of stuck with is that we are at a time where you kind of feel as though you are American, but there's still that part that makes you feel like you're not entirely American, whether by people or, people take elements of your life, like we were saying about the names earlier on. My first daughter's name is Temilayolua. That's 7 syllables, 13 letters. If you look at this culture, people name their kids simple names, simple 3-letter names like Tim, Tom, Bob, Lee, Sue, Pat, and then the first day of kindergarten, the job that the teacher gave the students was to write their names, and everybody else that their parents named Tim, Tom, Bob, Lee, Sue, Pat, all of them finished their job in like 5 minutes, 7 minutes. After 1 hour, my daughter is still there trying to write Temila. 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 2 hours passed, 3 hours. Everybody went to recess. They went to play in the playground. Came back. My daughter is still there trying to write Temila. Temila. So after a while, the teacher just said, what we're going to do, we're going to make this a take-home project, take-home assignment. So you can take home to your parents. They can help you. They're the ones that name you this name. Let them help you. So I learned from that. So now my other daughters, their name is Faith. Their name is Queen, and then it's Faith. So I want them to graduate from college on their resume. I want them to be able to get jobs. Sometimes they see your name on the resume. Despite all your qualifications, they say, this name get as a bio. They'll just put it in the shredder. So I want my, a lot of people in our committee are taking it way too far as well. I feel like, name your children, name like John, Robert, Mary, those are fine names. But, people, I guess people feel like if you name your child a really, really white name, they'll get all the jobs in the world. People are naming their kids, oh my God, Ashley, oh my God, Brooke, Heather, Skylar, Tanner. How are you going to name a Yoruba boy Tanner? Skylar, Arigbabu, Tanner, Balogun. It doesn't really work. But, like I said, we're all in this together. We're all in this together. And Nigerians, Africans, keep doing what you are doing. Haitians, Caribbean folks, our brothers and sisters, African American brothers and sisters, you know, you have greatness in you. You know, a lot of our great inventors, they don't get the credit. They don't get the credit. You know, the voice over IP was invented by a black woman. The mailbox, just there's a whole bunch of technology that we use today were invented by black people, and you know, you don't get taught that in school. They don't get credit for it in the media or anywhere. So you are great. You know, there's greatness in you, and go out and continue to be great.
Femi, there is a couple watching us right now. The husband feels unseen. The wife wants to have relief. What will you say to them as a comedian?
He feels unseen. In other words, like all the stuff that he's doing, she doesn't appreciate it. Is that kind of like...
The husband wants to be seen. The wife wants to have a sense of relief. What will you say to them that will make them laugh, feel seen, and feel the relief that they look for in their marriage, in their home?
You people should enter the bedroom. I'm telling you, man, like, this is like the antidote for everything. Like, you guys get in there, man. Get in there, do the Lord's work. That fixes the husband will feel seen and the woman will feel a whole lot of relief. I guarantee that.
Well, on that note, we'll come to an end of the Voyage. This has been a fantastic one. We'll still bring Femi back because there is still more to talk about. So, like we said, this is the Voyage. In life, we all go through seasons of trials, transition, and hopefully we all go through triumph. And we can see that Femi is just beginning the different seasons of life. Well, don't let me say it's just beginning. He's in the middle of all of the seasons of life.
I'm a young boy. I'm a city boy.
But then, on that note, we'll come to an end of our show today. Keep the journey going and keep putting a smile on your face, and let's keep building beautiful memories all around you. Take care.